So Juan Soto called out his teammates, and he went as far to say that they basically are giving up in games. We'll talk about that later on. Anthony Volpe and Aaron Judge, they put the Yankees on their backs yesterday in Miami, and we saw a home run that was 8 years in the making. I'm serious. John Singleton of the Astros, the last time that he hit a home run was back in 2015, an absolutely wild story. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game almost every single day. And a reminder, if you're going to any baseball games or concerts anytime soon, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek to save 20 bucks off. Also, shout out to the Henderson Little League. They are advancing to the Little League World Series. If you guys did not know, I am from Henderson. Nolan Gifford, he struck out at 1.9 hitters in a row, 16 in one game. They're going to the Little League World Series, and I could not be more proud. I'm rooting for them. Now, before we talk about the walk-offs and all the fun stuff, I got to get this game out the way because Adam Wainwright, bro, hang them up. I know he's 2 wins away from 200 career W's, but this is getting sad and quite frankly pathetic. That's a 2-run double to Salvador Perez. Some other RBI base hits made it 4-0. When Nelson Velasquez launched a solo home run, Kansas City, they weren't even close to being done. Bobby Witt Jr. was hand-delivered a batting practice meatball. He belted it 410 feet for a 3-run home run. By the way, Bobby, he's hitting 370 with 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 6 stolen bases in his last 15 games. Salvador Perez, he launched a home run, his 18th, and Kansas City, they're going to win pretty easy, but I do want to show Wilson Contreras because he put the Cardinals on his back. He clears the bases for 3 RBIs in the third. Then he went 461 feet. I repeat, 461. A huge 5 RBI day made it feel closer, but nah, Adam Wainwright and the Cardinals, they got smoked yesterday. This was an absolutely horrific but entertaining game. Wander Franco had his fingerprints all over this one. After Cleveland, or I should say former Cleveland third baseman Yandy Diaz doubled in Josh Lowe, Wander, he smoked a 2-run single to give the Rays the lead. That lead didn't last long, but Isaac Paredes stole it right back. He's up to 23 home runs. I still cannot believe that the Tigers gave him away for practically nothing. I still hope that Austin Meadows is getting the help that he is needing. Speaking of can't believe, I cannot believe my eyes. The streak is over. Miles Straw with the home run. He hasn't hit a home run in over 300 games. Wander, he then channeled his inner Derek Jeter. What a sick play from him. So this is where things are going to get mind-melting. Pete Fairbanks, he walked 3 hitters. He threw 2 wild pitches. Robert Stevenson then came in and relieved Pete Fairbanks. He also threw a wild pitch. So 3 wild pitches in 1 inning ties the ball game up at 8. I was going crazy, but like I said, Wander Franco, he was all over the place. That was a sick pimp job. He's hitting 373 with 6 home runs over his last 15 games. The Rays, they barely beat the Guardians 9-8. All right, from Cleveland to Minnesota, can the Twins put some distance between them and the Guardians? They're taking on the red-hot Phillies, and even though Minnesota had the early momentum on 2 solo home runs, this game was all Philly. The Phillies scored 9 runs before they decided to start power swinging. Bryson Stott, he doubled in Castellanos. JT, he tied on a single, and they weren't done yet in the second inning. You had singles from Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, and then Trey, he stayed hot with an RBI double later on. He's hitting 406 with a 1205 OPS since that standing ovation. Bryson Stott, my friend, had a huge game. That's his 11th home run. He's hitting 302 with 11 home runs and 22 stolen bases with sick defense at second base. Real Muto, he deleted a baseball. He has 15 home runs, and after position player Jordan Luplow mimicked Craig Kimbrell, Johan Rojas, he thought that was entertaining. He laughed at it. He ripped his first career home run as the Phillies, they beat the Twins 13-2. The Yankees were in Miami, and this was a fun game for Yankees fans. Imagine if Anthony Volpe figured it out on that swing, and he hits 330 for the rest of the season. He's one of 10 players with 15 home runs and 20 stolen bases, despite hitting like 220 on the season. And I'm just so mad we missed out on a second Judge versus Ohtani MVP race. Judge, he went 464 feet. He has 22 home runs in 62 games. You had singles from Oswaldo Cabrera, IKF, Gleyber Torres. They made it 7 runs. It shows just how good Jesus Luzardo has been because he gave up 7 earned runs, yet that only raised his ERA to 3.9, so still not the best, but he's been really good this year. Newcomer Josh Bell, speaking of good, he's been prime Mickey Mantle since being traded. It's really annoying as a Guardians fan. He has 4 home runs and 8 RBIs in 9 games. It's all good though because Kyle Higashioka, he played 2 more on another single. The Yankees, they went easy 9-4. So we all know that the Yankees are behind the Red Sox and the Mariners in the AL wildcard race, so let's go ahead and check in on those 2 teams. Starting with the Mariners, they were taking on the Orioles, and Cedric Mullins, he robbed J-Rod, but this is why I love J-Rod. He has so much fun playing baseball. Even when he gets robbed, he's having a great time because he robs people all the time, so I think he just gets it. You can't rob that one, though. Cal Raleigh, a.k.a. the Big Thumper, he went went yard. That's his 20th home run of the season, so only him and Francisco Alvarez have 20 home runs as a catcher. J-Rod, he got payback. I have no idea how he hit that baseball out. It was pretty much a signature Derek Jeter inside-out swing, but a home run is a home run. A 3-run shot for his 19th home run. Ty France, he ran into a baseball as well, and J-Rod, he drove in Seattle's final run on a double in the 6th inning. He has 6 RBIs over his last 5 games. All of that, by the way, was for Luis Castillo. I don't know how people get base hits off of Luis Castillo. He throws a 98-mile-an-hour sinker. He can get it up to 100 miles an hour. He has one of the best changeups in baseball history. He punched out 8 over 6 innings, only allowed 2 base hits. The Mariners, they destroy the Orioles 9-2. So the Mariners are winners of 8 in a row, and New York, they might have to rely on the Red Sox kind of folding, and yeah, about that. Even though Javier Baez made a sick play, he snagged it and then flipped it for the double play. This game was all Boston, and I'm so happy for Chris Sale. Chris Sale has spent the majority of the last 2 or 3 years on the injured list, and this was his first game back in a few weeks. He set down the first 14 hitters that he faced. Tristan Casas, he's been a problem for the last month or two. He's basically hitting .310 with 10 home runs and a .400 on base percentage over his last 30 games. Chris Sale, he got roughed up a bit in the 4th. He was taken out after 7 strikeouts. He only allowed 1 base hit over nearly 5 innings of work. I don't know who Chris Murphy is, but shout out to this kid. He tossed 3 no-hit innings to close this one out. The rare 3-inning save. The Red Sox, they beat the Tigers 5-2. So let's recap. The Yankees, the Mariners, and the Red Sox all won. What about the other team fighting for a wild card spot? The Angels. It started off nicely with CJ Cron hitting a home run, but LA, they weren't facing the Astros last night. They were facing the baseball gods and the script writers of the game of baseball. Such a beautiful, beautiful swing. A 3-run pimp job to outer space off the bat of John Singleton. That's the first time that he's hit a home run in 8 years. He was suspended a few times. He had to overcome a lot. And then he did it again. Singleton with a second, no doubt, pimp job. He turned into La Steroid for a game, minus the steroids, of course. I'm so happy for him. The journey must have been so tough. John, he got on again in the 4th. He scored on a 2-run single. Make it 4 times on base. He scores on a Jose Altuve single. He had a monster 5 RBI day, which overshadowed Justin Verlander's return to the Astros as they beat the Angels 11-3. So the Angels are now 58-59 and 11 games back of the Rangers, so that wild card is definitely going to be their only hope. Now, speaking of the Rangers, we had a rematch of the 2010 World Series, but this time, Bruce Bochy, he's in the other dugout. He's back in San Francisco, but he's the manager of the Rangers. His team only needed 2 swings to win this game. Nathaniel Lowe, he went 386 feet, and then Mitch Garver said, "Ha, that's all you got?" 435 feet on that moonshot. He's hitting .320 with 3 home runs ever since Jonah Heim went down with an injury. John Gray, they call him the Gray Wolf. He went out and carved, like absolutely bodied the Giants. 7 strikeouts over 7 shutout. He only allowed 2 base hits. This Texas team has depth for days, including Aroldis Chapman, who struck out the side again. He has 26 strikeouts in his first 13 innings as a Ranger. Will Smith now has 22 saves, and the Rangers are 1 win away from 70 Ws. The Jays and the Cubs, Nico Horner, I'm going to say this right now, he is one of the most underappreciated star players. I think that he's now a star. He's got 9 home runs, 29 stolen bases, and sick defense no matter where you put him. Cody Bellinger, he's going to make me emotional. Him being Belly again is so good for baseball. He's hitting .390 with 10 home runs, 30 RBIs, and 7 stolen bases over his last 30 games. Those are insane video game numbers for anyone wondering. Seiya Suzuki, he clutched up for a 2-run double in the 4th, and Mike Tauchman, he did his thing again, driving in a run. Cubs starting pitcher Javier Assad, he wasn't nasty. He only had 2 strikeouts, but he did an amazing job at missing barrels all night long. He held the Blue Jays to 1 run on 4 base hits. That was only his 3rd start of the year. Not easy against a stacked Jays lineup. The Cubs are 15-5 over their last 20 games. That's the 2nd best record in baseball behind the Mariners. So because the Cubs won, this has now become a must-win game for the Reds, or else they'll fall behind the Cubs in the standings if they lose this game. And look at all the rookies coming up huge. Elly De La Cruz, he legged out a 2-run triple to score TJ Friedl and rookie Matt McClain. Elly De La Cruz, is this good? 23 extra base hits and 17 stolen bases in his first 56 games. Spencer Steer, another rookie, his rookie campaign continued. He doubled an Elly. More on him in just a second, because look at Luke Maile going yard. Yeah, if Maile's going yard, it's a wrap. A 410-foot home run for a monster 3-run blast. Rookie starting pitcher Andrew Abbott was nasty. He struck out 9 in just under 6 innings. By the way, Cabrian Hayes, he went yard again. He's hitting .315 with 24 RBIs over his last 30 games. Cincy, they ended up with 9 on the day. They got singles from Friedl, De La Cruz, and Spencer Steer. This new look lineup is going to be a problem. Even their 8-hitter, Will Benson, went 3 for 4. That is a huge W for the Reds. Don't forget about the Brewers, though. Even though the Cubs and the Reds are both fighting for a wild card spot, first place is still within reach. Both the Reds and the Cubs can get to within 1.5 games if Milwaukee can't win this game. I'm going to skip to the second where Victor Caratini, he went yard, only to have Eloy Jimenez rip the cover off this baseball. His 14th. He's still just 26 years old, by the way. Eloy Jimenez rakes. TA7, he made it a 5 spot off of Corbin Burns, but here comes the Brewers. Willy Adames, he got it going again. He singled in Carlos Santana and Sal Frelick to make it a 1-run game. And there's the lead. White Sox fans, I'm so sorry. I do not know how Chicago could have so many stars on one team, like those stars are gone now, but just be completely pathetic and useless anyway. After Chicago tied it on a ground out, Sal Frelick, he turned into Superman. He flew into the net. He made the grab. He's been a revelation. He's been an RBI machine. He has a .425 on base percentage and sick defense in right field. Mark Canha, he clutched up. That double in the 10th scores rookie Bryce Terang. And Abner, I think it's Abner Uribe. I think that's how you say his name. I'm sorry if I botched that completely. That's his first career save. The Brewers, they clutch up and they win 7-6 over the White Sox. So before we show the Padres game, look at this quote from Juan Soto. He absolutely teed off on teammates. He pretty much called out their lack of efforts when they're losing in games and they just completely fold like picnic tables. You guys can see the quote right there. He said that they give up, which is not a quote you want to hear from one of your better players. They were taking on the Diamondbacks. Baseball meet barrel. Xander Bogaerts, he finally ran into a long, prodigious home run, 430 feet for his 12th of the season. Maybe the biggest game of the year for the Padres, as Ha-Seong Kim, Tatis, Juan Soto, Xander Bogaerts, and Cronenworth all had multiple hits in this game. Juan Soto, he tripled in Tatis, and even though Manny only had 1 hit, at least he made it count with an RBI base hit. Jake Cronenworth, he's having a miserable year, so seeing him go yard, that's got to be a great feeling, not only as Jake Cronenworth, but as a Padres fan. Blake Snell, he was solid again, only allowing 2 runs. One was a no-doubter to Ketel Marte, who's been playing like an MVP. Like, he's not going to win MVP, but he's been so good. And check this out. Arizona, they made things interesting as Tommy Pham, his first home run as a Diamondback came in this game. But San Diego, they got all 3 of those runs back in the 9th inning. Tatis, Soto, Bogaerts, again, they all had multiple base hits. The Diamondbacks, I can't believe I'm saying this. I thought the jerseys were going to be magic for them. They've lost 9 in a row, and they're 7-25 over their last 32 games. They've been the worst team in baseball for the last month and a half. The Dodgers must have not read the scouting report, but like, you do not run on rookie center fielder Brenton Doyle. What an absolute hose piece to nab the speedy Ahmed Rosario at home. Freddie, he ended up getting that run in the 3rd inning, and newcomer Lance Lynn, he was incredible again. He struck out 9 Rockies over 5 innings and 3 starts as a Dodger. He has a 2 ERA and 22 strikeouts in 18 innings. The Dodgers, they couldn't fix Noah Syndergaard, but maybe they can save Lance Lynn and his career. David Peralta, he doubled in James Allman, and from there it was just kind of dinking and dunking from the Dodgers. They're 3rd in team OPS for the season, and since the second half when the All-Star break came to an end, they have the 5th best ERA in all of baseball. The Dodgers are not to be messed with right now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but for the 3rd time this year, a starting pitcher walked 7 hitters and still somehow came away with a W and a shutout. Starting pitcher Charlie Morton, he's the guy that walked 7. He was given a 3-run lead after Rosario cleared the bases with kind of some help from Brandon Nimmo in center field. Albies and Riley made it 5-0, and Morton, he ended up getting through 5 shutout without any damage despite walking 7. Dylan Cease and Jack Flaherty, they've also done that this year. Absolutely mind-blowing. Eddie Rosario, he wanted more. He doubled in 1, and then Austin Riley, he pummeled his 27th home run. The 2023 Atlanta Braves now have 4 players on pace for 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. That would tie a single season MLB record. A's fans, cover your eyes. Washington, they crushed Oakland, and there was almost no point to even try and sugarcoat it. This was a demolition job. You had singles from Ildemaro Vargas and Stone Garrett to tie it at 2, and after Washington took the lead on a Jake Alou sac fly, more on him later. Kyber Ruiz, he left everything. This kid is hitting .295 with a sick .355 on base percentage over his last 30 games. Remember, he's a catcher. You can't find that production very often. Ildemaro Vargas is on one of his occasional hot streaks. Like, he's not very good, but I know his name because he does this fairly often where he goes 2 or 3 weeks with nothing and then erupts out of nowhere. He has 2 home runs and 9 RBIs over the last week. There's Jake Alou, his first career home run. It seals it for the Nationals. Not a great team, but they do have some solid pieces going into 2024. Hopefully, Cade Cavalli can come back healthy, and same with Steven Strasburg. Today's Immaculate Grid is going to be a lot of fun because we have some stat categories, but the standings, the Orioles lost and the Rays won, so the Rays Rays are back to 2 games back of the Orioles. In the Central, every single team aside from the Royals lost yesterday, so nothing changed in that department. In the American League West, we have the Astros at 2.5 games back of the Rangers. The Mariners, because they've won 8 in a row, they're 5.5 games back. We'll talk about the wild card in a second. Nothing changed in the NL East. The Central, we have the Cubs and the Reds tied at 2.5 games back of the Brewers. And then the West, I mean, the Dodgers have won 6 in a row, so they're 7.5 games back. We could pretty much never talk about the NL West ever again. But the NL wildcard is different because the Padres, they won and the Diamondbacks lost, so the Diamondbacks are just 1 game up of the Padres, but then you have the Marlins within a half game of the Reds and the Cubs, and then you have the Giants and the Phillies in it right now as the top 2 teams in the wildcard. In the AL wildcard, we have the Mariners at a half game back of the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays got to pick it up. The Red Sox, they've won 3 in a row, so they're 3 games back. The Yankees are back to 4 games back, and the poor Angels, they're 6.5 games back now. All right, today's Immaculate Grid. Remember, you cannot repeat the same player twice, and I'm seeing a lot of players that I could repeat. All right, 300 wins and 3,000 strikeouts. I'm going to go Randy Johnson because I don't see any Diamondbacks, so I don't think I'm going to repeat Randy Johnson. 25%, 3,000 plus strikeouts, and a member of the Mets. Did Tom Seaver? If it's not Tom Seaver, I don't know who it could be. 42%, so my rarity score is already in the dumps. You have a Cy Young who had 3,000 career strikeouts. Cy Young, I could go Clemens. I'm going to go, did Maddox have 3,000 strikeouts? I don't remember. No. One player I almost put was Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan never won a Cy Young. That is a crazy baseball stat I'll never forget. Cy Young, 3,000. I'm going to go Clemens for this one. I'm going to go Roger Clemens, and then I'm going to go Pedro, 300 plus wins, and he played for the Red Sox. He had 300. Pedro Martinez did not have 300 plus wins, so I probably should have gone Pedro for this one and then Roger Clemens for this one. I don't know who had 300 plus wins, and I'll have to come back to that one. The Red Sox and the Mets. Who played for the Red Sox? Jason, I'm going to pull this one. Jason Bay played for both teams, 9%. A Cy Young for the Red Sox. I cannot believe he stole this from Justin Verlander. Rick Porcello. Shout out to Kate Upton for going off on MLB and Rick Porcello for that bogus Cy Young award. Hall of Fame with 300 plus career wins. I'm going to go Greg Maddux. I know for a fact that he was a guy that had a ton of wins. Greg Maddux, there we go. Hall of Fame for the Mets. Let me see if I can pull someone out. A Hall of Famer for the Mets. I know that we have Gary Carter. Gary Carter is a Hall of Famer. What about some other guys? I think I'm going to go Gary Carter because no one else is coming to my brain right now, which is actually super unfortunate because the Mets have had a lot of good players. Gary Carter, 12%, and then Cy Young, who's been in the Hall of Fame. Cy Young. I'm going to go Jim. Did Jim Palmer ever win a Cy Young? I'm pretty sure Jim Palmer did, please. Jim Palmer did. All right. Who was the Boston Red Sox guy? I could have gone with Cy Young. How did I not get Cy Young? Also, didn't Lefty Grove play for the Red Sox? I could have gone with, Boston Lefty Grove, who had 300 wins on the dot. That does it for today's MLB recap. If you guys watched all the way until the end, shout out to you. You are a legend. If you enjoyed, leave a like. If you're brand new, we post these almost every single day. Hit that subscribe button. And remember, I do have a gaming channel, Fuzzy Gaming. We're on the road to 100,000 subs. Click that button, sub, and I'll catch you guys over there.